right. Well, good evening. I'm Lisa Wilson, the president of the Independence Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to tonight's candidate forum for USD 446, Independence City Commission, and the Independence Community College Board of Trustees. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to make sure we're on. I don't know if my mic's on. It is on? I can't. Is it on? It is on? Okay, great. All right. So at this time, please welcome our moderator for tonight's forum, Dan Reynolds, Chamber of Commerce Board member and law partner at Emmert, Chubb & Reynolds.
Thank you, Lisa. My voice projects a little bit better than Lisa's, so I don't think I'll have any trouble with the microphone tonight. Welcome again to this evening's forum. The format for this event is very simple. Each candidate has fairly drawn for their seating order tonight, and going in order, each candidate will be given a minute and a half to answer the same opening question. After opening questions and to save on time, I will then draw a question from the fishbowl, previously submitted questions from the Chamber's email submission process. Each candidate will be given another minute and a half to answer his or her specific question. We will follow this alternating process until each candidate has answered 3 individual questions. Then going in reverse order, each candidate will be given another minute and a half to answer the same closing question, which will conclude the forum for USD 446 school board candidates. I'd like to point out that each of our candidates were not allowed to bring any notes with them or cell phone, although they are permitted to take notes during the forum process. Materials are already on the table for that purpose. There are 8 candidates running to fill 4 full-term and 1 partial term. Candidate Leslie Fox is unable to attend tonight's forum. Tonight's forum is also being videotaped and can be watched on Cable Access Channel 12 and on the city's YouTube channel. So at this time, I'm going to begin by asking each of the candidates an opening question, going from candidate 1 to candidate 7, I believe. So at this time, would we please welcome candidate number 1, Tamisha Sewell. No, keep seated.
Okay.
Hi. Ms. Sewell, what do you feel are both the short-term and long-term challenges facing the district?
Well, my mind immediately goes to long-term, simply because one of the issues that I've had brought up to me the most when talking with members of the public and parents, as you may have heard me speak about before, is bullying, and why we would like to have that be a short-term issue. It is something that will take time to work together as a community to solve the issue. Short-term would be how we can put together something, I feel like a parent group, to be able to help with issues like that and finding out what we need to do with members of the community to help.
Thank you, Ms. Sewell. Please welcome candidate number 2, Charles Barker, Sr. Mr. Barker, what do you feel are both the short-term and long-term challenges facing the district?
Well, I think they are both, obviously. First of all, in the short term, what we have to do is we have to make sure that there is the right people in place. That simply means from school board members to administrators, superintendent, teachers, but that we can't do anything without kids. So providing a safe environment so that they can learn. So by the time that they leave high school, they are ready for a career or post-secondary education, or just being good citizens. We want to make sure that they have all the tools that are necessary to be successful. And that occurs not just in the short term, but in the long term as well. We have an excellent staff and great student body, a community that supports, and I think that those are tools that help us to be successful.
Thank you, Mr. Barker. Please welcome candidate number 3, Jennifer Rutledge. Ms. Rutledge, what do you feel are both the short-term and long-term challenges facing the district?
Thank you, Dan. I think we have a couple things that we're facing short term. Seems like just about everywhere I turn around these days, I'm having a conversation with someone about vaping, about students getting caught vaping, and I know that's kind of a hot button. Even in the state of Kansas, there was actually another death due to vaping this week. So I think the school stepping in and doing their part on school campuses to help alleviate the vaping among the younger generation is important. And I also think teacher recruitment. Right now, teacher recruiting is a bit of a challenge. There's a bit of a teacher shortage. Education schools around the state and the country are not turning out quite the numbers of teachers that they have before. So making sure that we can get quality teachers is important too. As far as long term, there is a problem in our schools that is truancy and the attitude of both parents and students about the importance of school. It's not a big deal if I miss a day. I don't really want to go today. And trying to address that and making sure that they understand the importance of being in school each and every day so that we can turn out quality students, as well as career education paths for our students that not only involve college options, but options that do not necessarily involve college. We have quite a few great options, even in the Independence area. Textron has some great options. So just giving our kids a hope and a future that may or may not be bound with the debt of a college degree.
Thank you, Ms. Rutledge. Please welcome candidate number 4, Melissa Small. Ms. Small, what do you feel are both the short-term and long-term challenges facing our district?
Obviously, there's a lot that faces every district in Kansas. I'll just start with the short term. I do feel like we need to really keep up on technology. And the reason I feel like that's a short-term issue is because it changes all the time. We just passed to get new Chromebooks for one of our schools because they were 5 years out of date. They go out of date from year to year to year. So I really think we need to work on technology. Our children need to keep up on technology and to keep learning at the pace they need to. Long term is teachers. We need to figure out for our community how to keep bringing teachers here, whether we get them coming back after they are educated, or how can we draw them? I think the teachers that we bring is a long-term issue.
Thank you, Ms. Small. Please welcome candidate number 5, Scott Hines. Mr. Hines, what do you feel are both the short-term and long-term challenges facing our district?
Short-term, I would say recruitment is probably the forefront, whether it be in teaching, whether it be in business. Recruitment in today's world seems to be more and more difficult, and trying to recruit people to rural parts of Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, whichever it would be, is also becoming more and more difficult. From a long-term side of that would be retention. How can you put together compensation that is, one, affordable, two, equitable, that helps to retain your teachers? Maintaining the physical plants of our buildings, keeping our buildings up to shape, keeping them to where they will last long term is going to be a very difficult task as well. And then security of the buildings. I think addressing security concerns is both a short term and a long term. It seems like the threats are changing on a daily basis, and so just keeping pace with that is always very difficult.
Thank you, Mr. Hines. Please welcome candidate number 6, David Bales. Mr. Bales, what do you feel are both the short-term and long-term challenges facing our district?
The short-term challenge is being at the end of the line and hearing everyone else speak your ideas. Many of these short-term and long-term issues are one and the same because the ultimate goal is educating the students, and we've got students that are near their graduation and ready to go out into the world, so those are the ones we need to make sure are ready now, and then obviously the younger ones, raising them throughout the system and with their education goals. But staff, I've heard revolving staff, we've got teachers in and out all the time. We need to figure out ways to retain the good teachers and promote and recruit the newer teachers in the younger generations. I've also heard training on the areas other than college degrees. That was such a push for a long time for everyone to get a degree, and now we've got young adults with massive college debt and they can't find a job to fit their degree. So we do have many area, just not in Independence but in the county as well, technical schools where we have technical shortages such as HVAC and welders and all those other types of careers, I guess. So that's about it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Bales. And please welcome candidate number 7, Desiree Packard.
Hi, guys. Obviously, there are lots of short and long-term when it comes to the schools in general. I agree with almost everybody when it comes to the teachers. I don't know how many I've heard that have quit or left USD 446 for different reasons. I think we really need to find a way to get teachers to come in and stay and feel like it's a great place to be. They're teaching our future. They're guiding our future. We want them to. We want them to stay, and our kids to feel like that they've gained so much by the people that are teaching them and guiding them into adulthood. I think that. So sorry, I just drew a blank. I think that, like he was mentioning about, and her down here there about, for people that want to have a job that does not require them to have a degree. I personally work on a farm almost every single day, and I have a college degree for that. And I'm, I have fun at it, and it's good. And I think that there are lots of other options for people that can't afford to go to college or don't want to have the student debt that can still have a good job and a good life. And we should be encouraging that outside of just, go get your college degree.
Thank you, Ms. Packard. Okay, so we're done with opening statements. Now we can move on, get wild with some random questions. So the process again is I am going to start with Ms. Sewell, and I'm going to draw a random question out, read that question, and we'll continue the process down the line. There'll be 3 individual questions that have been submitted via the email process for the chamber that I'll ask each of the candidates. So with that having been said, Ms. Sewell, how would you go about adopting a fiscally sound district budget?
Ooh, that's a big one, starting out strong. That is actually something that I have been looking into. I have requested the most recent budget from Mr. Arnold, and I've started looking over it. It's something that's going to take a lot of time. It's a big responsibility to make sure that all areas of our school, not just in equipment, but also in teachers and staff, are fully funded. We would have to sit down as a group and prioritize what it is that we need to make sure has the top amount of funding first, and then try and kind of sort out where we can move things around to make sure things are equitably funded in all areas. It's really just, it's a hard job, but I'm ready to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Sewell. Mm-hmm. Next is Mr. Barker. Mr. Barker, what goals and or objectives would you like to see the board accomplish if you are elected?
I'd like us to be able to make sure that every student feels like they have a great opportunity to learn, that we have the support system in place so that every kid can learn. Obviously, there are some differences in how they learn, and some of those are being adjusted. So just having the right opportunity to learn and being able to have teachers who have everything that they need, support staff, administrators who have direction from the board, policies that protect every kid, the right kind of learning environment so that when kids come to school, that they're ready to learn. I think that those things are important to make sure the kids are on track and ready to learn.
Thank you, Mr. Barker. Ms. Rutledge? If elected, what do you view your role as in becoming a school board member?
As a school board member, I think we have a very important role. Most importantly, that of being a listener, listening to what people are concerned about for their kids, listening to experiences in the district, listening to staff in the district. But another part of our role is being a team member. There may be times when the school board disagrees and there's a split vote, But the minute we walk out of that room, we are a member of a board, and the board made a decision, and it's important that you support the team and that you behave as a team member. There are some roles as far as setting policies. We get to help set the vision for the district. But I really think most importantly, being an advocate, and being an advocate for all the parts of the school so that ultimately you're an advocate for the students.
Thank you, Ms. Rutledge. Ms. Small, if resources were not an issue, what would you like to see done to advance Independence fine arts programs?
Wouldn't that be nice? No budget. Fine arts, which is a great thing, whether it's music, art. I have children that are in the band, and I have a child that loves to draw. So obviously, those are being cut quite a bit in a lot of our districts. I would love to see more teachers come in and be able to do hands-on, or even be able to get people from our community and come in, whether it's whether it's artists, or we have a great Inge festival, and have those people and be able to have a budget to pay them, and let the kids see how fine arts can be a great career path for them. If a 4-year education isn't what they want to do, there's great things to learn in the fine arts.
Thank you, Ms. Small. Mr. Hines, what would you most like each student to take away from their time in USD 446?
I think I'd like them to take away, obviously, education. The focus, the goal would be for them to feel like they've been educated. I would like them to take away a social aspect, feel like that they had fun at school, they made friends at school. They need to take away the knowledge of who they can trust, that they can trust the administration of the school, that they can trust their teachers. I think they need to take away a sense of security. They need to feel like the school is a safe place for them, a sense of well-being. I think they also need to understand that there's a lot of different resources that they can get, and I think being able to take away the knowledge of what all those resources are provided to them throughout the school system, whether it be in the K through 8 or whether it be in the 9 through 12, and then some sense of what path they want to go down. I think by the time they get to the 12th grade, I think they need to have a general understanding of where they want to go in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Hines. Mr. Bales, what is your opinion of computer-based instruction and other alternative learning programs?
I think with the technology we've seen advance and how fast it does advance, we've already heard about things going out of date quickly. We need to stay on top of the computer-based things and keep those updated and teach our children how to use those and continue to look for the new programs and not get stuck in a rut of this is how it's been done or this is how we're going to do it, but be open to the new ways that are coming available.
Thank you, Mr. Bales. Ms. Packard? What are USD 446's educational strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I think as a whole, and I'm probably in most of the schools, I think that we have a real bullying issue. I don't think that it's a strength that we have in our school board at all. I think that it's not dealt with. I think it needs to be dealt with. I do think that one of our strengths, however, is that the school board in general really has the best interest in heart when it comes to our kids and the education and the goals that they have set, whether it be in technology or the classes they offer. They really are doing the best they can. Obviously, budget issues makes it where they have to take programs away or not be able to be as invested in them as they would like. But I know that our school board and the teachers are doing they really do want what's best for our children, and we have to try to keep remembering that, even if we don't always agree.
Thank you, Ms. Packard. We're going to start again with Ms. Sewell. Second question. And of course, I pulled the one that I already asked.
I mean, if you really want me to answer it again, I don't think it's changed much.
Ms. Sewell, what is your opinion of computer-based instruction and other alternative learning programs?
I think that it is very important that we make these available not only as in school, but as an alternative for students who, for whatever reason, don't fit into the daily schedule of your standard school schedule, early in the morning and into the afternoon for whatever reason. This may be because they are taking college courses. This may be because they're working full-time or some other sort of disability, possibly. But we really need to make sure that when we are offering that we are offering the highest quality, so there are not issues with, just the simple use of the program. Make sure that's not a barrier for people to be able to use that. It has to be designed well, and I do think that we should try and make sure that when possible they do get some face time with an instructor. I feel that is still very valuable because you do want to make sure that at least some of the social aspect of school is still available to those students. I don't think it should be our first, main type of school. I know a lot of people advocate for all online school, but I really think there's something to be said for learning social skills and for building a sense of community and becoming a good working member of your community by interacting with these people that you're growing up with that you'll also be in the community with later.
Thank you. Mr. Barker? How do you feel about high school students spending part of their day off campus with programs such as internship or work experience?
I think that that's pretty important, especially if they've gotten all the core classes that they need taken care of. I think it's pretty important because more and more what we see a need for students to be ready when they leave. Many of them need what's called soft skills. Some of the things that have been typically taught at home, for whatever reason, are not necessarily taught. And so to be able to go into the community and partner with the community and learn some different things, I think is pretty important. One of the things I think that we've been blessed to do recently is to make sure that high school students provide some service hours. So during that time, they have an opportunity to go into the community and provide some opportunities to serve the community. So I think it's important that they learn how to bridge the gap and understand that that's what makes the quality of life in Independence so important.
Thank you. Ms. Rutledge? What goals and or objectives would you like to see the board accomplish if you are elected?
Does this mean there's no budget limit? That wasn't mentioned. There's a lot of things ahead of us. I think we've made a lot of great strides over the last 4 years when I have been on the board, but I think there's a lot of things ahead of us. One of the things that I've seen that I'm really excited about is the Riley Early Learning Center in providing preschool education for our kids, and I'd love to see how that flows through our schools. I just cannot emphasize enough taking it to the end when they graduate and having opportunities for our kids that are above and beyond that college degree. I love the idea that was just spoken of internships and work experience in the community. I'd love to see that taken as far as apprenticeships. I would love to see our kids graduate with great soft skills that they can walk up to an adult in a room, shake their hand and look them in the eye and have confidence. I would also love to see us make our schools a completely safe space, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, because we have so many kids in this community that don't have that outside the building, and it would be nice if when they got to school, that was a place where they could feel completely safe.
Thank you. Ms. Small?
Yep.
How would you go about adopting a fiscally sound district budget?
Tamisha had this one correct. I think that one thing I would, if I'm elected for the board again, I would really like to see us do whether it's every 3 months or every 6 months, have a board retreat. We haven't done that, I don't believe, and at least since I've been on the board. And I think our board right now is a great board. There's a lot of times, Jen said, that we don't agree, but in the end, we all we come together and make great decisions for our community and for our students and our teachers. And I think if we had a board retreat and got together and decided all that, I think we could make a great budget together.
Thank you. Mr. Hines? How do you feel about high school students spending part of their day off campus with programs such as internships and a work experience?
I think internships and work experience are great. I would really like to see us be able to expand those programs. When I went to school here, it seemed that there were a lot more programs, a lot more opportunities. Now we do have some. A lot of that takes community involvement. The community of Independence has been great in the past and present on offering individuals the opportunity. But for kids that are going through the school system, there's a lot of things they don't know. I think they can learn a lot of different skills by shadowing people. I think they can learn things that maybe they do want to do and don't want to do. Without having that real life experience or the opportunity to have that experience, I think they miss out on something. So I'm a big advocate for it. I think it would be great if we could create a rotation program and get people a little bit out of their comfort zone. If somebody says that they want to go into accounting, put them with a teacher for a while, or put them in a manufacturing plant for a while so they have the opportunity to see different things. But I think it's a great opportunity for the kids, and I wish more would take up on that opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Bales, if elected, what do you view your role as in becoming a school board member?
I've been a part of several other boards, and like was mentioned earlier, I think the biggest part is listening to see what the needs are, so we could be a mediator between the people and the students we represent and the staff and the faculty, and blend all those together with the fellow board members to get the best outcome for the students and the community. Obviously, there's going to be times where we have to accept other people's opinions or other people's votes and just be united as one front and be supportive of each other. New ideas is one of the biggest things that I think we need to always be willing to put forth as a board member, and not just go to the board meeting and do the business and go home. It's important to always be thinking when you're out in the community or at the school visiting of things that need attention or things that could be changed for the better. So just teamwork and thoughts for the future.
Thank you. Ms. Packard? What would you most like each student to take away from their time in USD 446?
I was born and raised in Independence, and I graduated from the high school like 20 years ago or something. I had fond memories of being in school. I had an older sister that was out there before me, and then I had a twin. And I mean, obviously education is important, but when they look back and they talk about their hometown, or if they decide to stay here, we want them to have fond memories, have good memories of the teachers they had, the classes they took, the fun things they did. It's not just about straight and narrow all the time. Obviously, we want them to grow up and be great adults and great humans, but we want them to have a fond memory of the community they were raised in and the school that they went to. I have fond memories. I remember the fun things that we did and the games that we went to and the parties that they provided for us. I think that that's pretty important because you want them to love our town.
Thank you. And now we'll conclude with our third and final question. I'll go down the row again. Ms. Sewell. How do you feel about high school students spending part of their school day off campus with programs such as internships and work experience?
Actually, as an employer, I do feel it's really important. It gives, young adults, I don't want to say children exactly, the opportunity to actually go out in the workforce and see if what they think they're interested in really is a good fit. Because sometimes you can go to school and, be in the middle of what you're doing and realize that that's not necessarily for you, and that can be a very expensive change to make partway through college. I can attest to that. So I think that being able to go out and see what works for them and make sure that what they think will be a fun, job doesn't turn out to be, for whatever reason, not a good fit. And I also think that it's good to get them out there into the community, because they will be on their own and become a member of the community or of another community, and just to get them active and make them a good, active member of whichever community they end up in after high school.
Thank you. Mr. Barker? That's a new one. This is exciting.
Okay, I'm ready.
What do you see as the district's greatest current accomplishments?
I think one of the things is that, first of all, I think Kansas, according to Newsweek, is ranked number 15 among all the states. I think that we can do better than that. I think out of about 290 plus districts in Kansas, the city of Independence High School is ranked number 15. I think we can do better than that. Graduation rate last year was about 96%. I think we can do better than that. We have great teachers, and we're working hard in collective bargaining processes to retain those teachers and recruit other teachers. We can do better than that. Curriculum alignment, I think, is always important. Trying to reach out, get parents and communities involved. Having great schools, maintaining those schools, and making sure that we're doing all to make sure the kids are safe in the classroom. The career planning that we talked about earlier. I think that we have some great things in place. But our biggest asset are the kids. None of us would be here tonight if it weren't for the kids. And we want to make sure that no matter what, kids are first in everything that we say and do.
Thank you. Ms. Rutledge, how would you go about adopting a fiscally sound district budget?
Well, part of the budget is looking at the expenses and the needs that we have within the district. But part of that budgeting process is also understanding what the citizens who you represent can bear as far as a tax burden. And so it's a delicate balance looking at what do we need to do for our kids to make sure that they're successful, that we're getting each of our classrooms what they need, that we're able to provide for their needs, as well as saying, we understand that we live in Southeast Kansas, and as much as we would love to raise taxes exponentially to do every single dream idea that we have, we can't do that. So it is a delicate balance to walk. It's a good conversation to have with school staff and understanding from them what the needs are. I think it's already been brought up tonight that we just had to replace some Chromebooks. We did everything we could not to replace those Chromebooks, and unfortunately it just didn't work, so we did spend that money. But it's just very important to make sure that we understand the responsibility of providing for all of those needs within the district and doing our very best to use our knowledge of what's important, using those priorities, but also understanding what our citizens can bear as far as a tax burden.
Thank you. Ms. Small. What goals and or objectives would you like to see the board accomplish if you are elected?
Probably what we work on right now. Main issues right now is trying to educate children on vaping, try to educate children on bullying and students on bullying. You know, I think that we need to figure out how to communicate better with parents. And our board right now goes out in the community and we talk to people and we ask questions and we come back and discuss them. And a lot of it is that people have brought up is bullying and vaping. But I think that if we need to communicate better with parents, because kids hear and you think they listen, but they might not listen. And the communication needs to be done at home too. So if we discuss, if we have better communication with the parents, I think that our board can get more accomplished.
Thank you. Mr. Hines? How would you go about adopting a fiscally sound district budget?
I think the first and foremost is sitting down and working with district leadership, making sure that as a board we understand what all of the district needs are. I think we also have to understand that a budget is it's a fiscal budget, but it's also a future budget. You have to plan your budgets every fiscal year to also plan for the future. So I think we need to make sure we're cognizant of what some of the future demands and needs are going to be. I think also, as I think Melissa and Jen have both talked about, understanding the funds, the valuation of the community, what can the community afford to support, and balancing that tax burden and doing everything we can to minimize that tax burden while still giving back to the students and providing them the necessary resources, whether that be technology, good teachers, good buildings, good physical plant, and additional opportunities.
Thank you. Mr. Bales? If I can find a new one. No, I've already answered that one.
All I can think about is the budget now.
What do you see as the district's greatest current accomplishments?
Oh, gosh. I mean, drive by the high school and look at those nice buses. Those are awesome. And the pet bus is one of the greatest accomplishments, I think, for me, not currently being on the board, but being a citizen with students in the school and knowing how much expense it was when the teachers would want to take a field trip in the past. But now that we have our own buses and our own transportation where we can pay our drivers to deliver the kids where we want to go, I think that's the greatest accomplishment at this time recently.
Thank you. Ms. Packer? If elected, what do you view your role as in becoming a school board member?
I'll be honest with you. When I was approached about running for the school board, I was like, I don't think so. But here I am. I want to be a team player. If I'm elected, I really want to do what's best for our children in our school. And that's just really it. I just want to be a team player. I may not always agree with everything, and most likely I probably won't because, well, I like to rock the boat. But I do want to do what's best for the kids, and that's truly what I have in mind is their children.
Thank you. Now we'll conclude with a closing question. The same question will be posed to each of the candidates. We're going to start in reverse order. So, Ms. Packard, you're going to be double down. You'll go first.
All right.
All right. Ms. Packard, what experience do you bring to the position that makes you a qualified candidate for the school board?
I don't know that I have any great experience, but I am a mom. of a special needs child, which is one of the reasons that I decided to run was for him. I feel like that special education has obviously a lot more challenges and difficulties than regular children. But I wanted to advocate not just for him, but for all the kids. I've never done anything like this, but I'm willing to take the challenge.
Thank you. Mr. Bales, what experience do you bring to the position that makes you a qualified candidate for the school board?
Well, I'm a husband and a father, so I can obviously be fluid in many situations. I think the school board might require that as situations arise that maybe you're not prepared for. You get a weekend phone call from a neighbor or something. But official experience, I've been a member of the International Fuel Tax Association's Law Enforcement Committee. I was the chair of that for 2 years. I've been on the Kansas State Troopers Association since 2008 as a troop director, and I've been on the church board at the Independence Nazarene Church for several terms. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hines, what experience do you bring to the position that makes you a qualified candidate for the school board?
I think first and foremost, I'm a parent, a father. I have 3 children going through the school system, so I hear and see what's going on in 3 different schools every night, every morning. I come from a business background. I work in finance. I manage a lot of people, and I have for a significant number of years. I manage budgets, so I understand the financial components. I was also raised in Independence. I grew up in Independence. I'm a product of the Independence school system, so I understand rural communities. I went to college, moved away for a while, came back. I understood the core values that can be instilled in you in a rural community that you can't get in a more metropolitan setting, which is what we wanted to raise our children in. And then I think my 4+ years as serving on the school board has also taught me a lot. I learn at every meeting the needs, the demands of our students, of our teachers, of our community. And then at the end of the day, they always tell me I'm a good listener. So whether I always take action on it is yet to be determined, but I'm a very good listener.
Thank you. Ms. Small, what experience do you bring to the position that makes you a qualified candidate for the school board?
Well, to start off with, I'm a mother of 4 that are in the USD 446 system, and they are on both spectrums. So I have high students and low students. So I can feel what majority of parents feel, whether they don't feel like their kid is getting enough education because they're too high, or if their child is not getting enough because they're too low. I'm also a business owner here in town, so I pay taxes just like you do. I know when that comes before the board, I take it personally because I have to do it too. I've ran on several boards here, or I've been on several boards, whether it's the Mercy Board, the Niwala Board, so I am a community member. I moved back here. I graduated from USD 446. I'm a K-State alumni, and I just want everyone to realize that when they're in that booth, when they are voting, whether they're voting for me or anyone else, that there's a large number of spots open. So before you hand in that ballot, you're voting for an entire board. So even though you like certain people, make sure that you know that you're voting for a majority vote. So look at your whole board when you're voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rutledge, what experience do you bring to the position that makes you a qualified candidate for the school board?
I think I bring a lot of experiences, varied experiences to the table. I think I'm going to kind of sound familiar when I say I'm a parent of kids in the district. I have kids who've been involved in fine arts, kids who are in sports. I have a child with a medical condition that's required some accommodations. I have a child who's in the extended learning program, so we've kind of seen a wide spectrum of activities within the school, and that's been very interesting. I do have a little bit of an interesting twist. We are not from Independence. We've been here about 9 years, but I did have kids in a different school district than this one, which just provides a little bit of a fresh perspective. My background is in business and accounting. I do, and my family does, have a great love for Independence. We've been involved in the community, and just from that, I have learned many ways to be a good listener about what's important to the community, what's important to do to build Independence and to build the school district. And finally, I am so willing to be an advocate, and I had a student who struggled. She's about to graduate this year, and she's doing fabulously now. But in the conversation, I relayed this at a previous forum with one of the administrators. We sat there talking about some of the difficulties she was having, and this administrator said to me, "Think how many kids in my school don't have an advocate like you." And I think that's sad. I think they need an advocate, and I have no problem opening my mouth when an advocate needs to be there.
Thank you. Mr. Barker, what experience do you bring to the position that makes you a qualified candidate for the school board?
Well, first of all, I think that I'm extremely passionate about our students achieving at the highest level when it comes to education that's possible. In addition to that, don't want to sound redundant, but have 3 children that grew up in the school district, all doing very well. 3 grandchildren in the district right now, 1 more on the way, so I'm doing my part to make sure that we continue to get kids in the district. Also, I've worked when it comes to negotiations, so I know that end of it. I'm a team member, all for one, one for all. I don't believe that one member has a voice. Don't make deals outside of our team and respect every team member. Serving in great leadership with great leaders has made me great. So I think that I'm really proud to have served with great leaders, gathering all the facts. I've been on the board almost 10 years, and let me just say that I've never missed one meeting. I've missed one meeting, and never come not prepared, so I appreciate that. Dependability is important. Bond issue, been there. School improvements, stadium improvements, all those things. Riley Resource Center, that's sometimes tough, been there.
Thank you. And Ms. Sewell, what experience do you bring to the position that makes you a qualified candidate for the school board?
Well, I do have a lot of experience working on boards. I am currently the co-chair of the Astra board. I am also the director at Eclectics Art Gallery, and we function as a board as we are a co-op. I've been doing that for a few years now. I'm also a member of the Kansas Children's Service League's CDLC board, which brings me to my next point, that I am also already actively an advocate for children. I currently work at the local level as well as going and advocating on the state level. In fact, I will be doing so at a governor's symposium coming up next week to help advocate for early childhood education, because it does have such a high impact on school careers and even life after school. As I mentioned, early childhood education, that is my background. Education is my passion, it's my life, it's my career. And I want to make sure that the children go on from my facility or even other preschools and child care centers into a program that I know is going to help offer them all the opportunities in life to create the best situation for them, regardless of what their home lives may be like. And I'm also used to working with the community and working with parents. And I feel that one thing we really need to make sure we're doing as a district is that we are finding how we need to work with parents and to work with other members of the community for the best outcome for everyone.
Thank you very much. And with that, that concludes tonight's USD 446 School Board Candidate Forum. I'd like to personally thank each of the candidates for being here and providing you some of their unique insight and personality. Could we give them a round of applause? Thank you very much, and excellent answers to sometimes redundant questions. I want to remind everyone to please vote on Tuesday, November 5th, and we will begin the City Commission forum at 6:45. Thank you very much.